Hey everybody, I'm Raging Papist, and I thought I'd come at you with a plea to vote. I know it's been a very long time since I've made a video. I'm sorry, I just do not have the time with my current schedule. But the election season is gearing up. We are almost done with the caucusing phase. Both parties, the Democrats and the Republicans, are about to pick their nominees, and I've already heard a lot of chatter in the alt-right about, if a certain candidate for the Republicans does not get the nomination, they simply aren't going to vote. They aren't going to vote for them. Voting doesn't mean anything anyway, right? So let's just sit back and let it burn, basically, is the attitude. I am here to implore you not to do that this time around. The stakes, I think, are just too high for the country. There's too much going on with Obamacare, the economy, ISIS and Islam, racial tension and hatred, our immigration policy. Now with the passing of Justice Scalia, one more one more slot in the Supreme Court, with potentially two if Ginsburg decides to retire. I mean, there are already a number of chairs that are going to be opening up during the next 4 to 8 years, and we need to get them because Obama has already placed 2 catastrophes now within the Supreme Court, and he's pushing for a third, but he's not going to be allowed to get it, is my theory, thankfully. But there's something that the left does every time it comes to an election, if you've noticed it. They always they always coalesce around their leader, around their nominee. And you see this because, let's be honest, no one really hates someone good unless they're part of the left. SJWs hate people. They love to hate people. Feminists love to hate people, and they feel they're entitled to things. Minorities, for the most part, as Black Lives Matter typifies, as we know, because they tell us blatantly that all lives do not matter. Saying all lives matter is racist. They hate people. And yet, and we've gotten, ever since the SCOTUS decision, it's died down now some from gay activists. But there was there was all the attacks that was going on of the demanding of change of public opinion. You have to acknowledge me. You acknowledge my right. Acknowledge my existence. And no one was disputing their existence in the first place. But all these groups, including environmentalists, everything on the left, hates each other. They despise each other. Feminists despise GLBT because men are inherently rapists. The white worker, the white lower middle class worker, despises the environmentalists because they are holding them back. They can't get the jobs because of these environmental regulations that they want to impose. They all hate each other. But one thing they do is when it comes time to vote, they put their differences aside for the sake of their ideology. They want to come together to push their agenda. So even though they all hate each other and will fight each other tooth and claw, they will put aside their principle and their ethos and their personal ideology to advance progressivism as a whole. And they do it every time, and it always works. Because on the right, what we have is principle. If a candidate does not think the way I do, and they do something that I emphatically disagree with, well, I don't think they should be the captain in the captain's chair for the country. I don't support that. So why would I vote for that? And that's our mentality on the right. And the problem with that mentality is that's the moral high ground, right? And there's an old expression that they used to play on TV about buckle up safety, which was, yeah, you can be right, you can be dead right. So in other words, taken in context of the TV commercial, so you have a guy that buckles up and or that doesn't. He doesn't buckle up, but he had the right of way turn. It was his turn to go, but the other guy hit him, and he wasn't buckled, so he died. It was a silly commercial, but the expression is good. You can be right, well, you can be dead right. That's what we're going to be facing here. We have to coalesce together. there's only going to be three candidates, I think, viable. It's boiled down to it this time. You have you can't stop Trump. You have Ted Cruz, the zealot, and you have the he's not a cuck, but he's the softer establishment, which is Rubio. You have one of those three. Okay, so in my mind, you have the nationalist, you have the zealot, or you have the he's not really a moderate, but he's softer. You have the softer touch, which is Rubio. So a lot of people just won't vote for Trump out of principle. A lot of people won't vote for Cruz because of his religious conviction. And a lot of people won't vote for Rubio because they perceive him to be a cuck. Now, you take any of those positions and we lose. If those positions are followed through, we lose. Because as much as the Bernie Sanders supporter hates the Hillary supporter, you mark my words, they will coalesce. They will vote for the nominee. So if we don't do the same, shit, it's open mic night and we decided not to take the mic. You know, we decided not to play the game, and they did. So they win. So for another 4 to 8 years, you are going to have catastrophe. You will have socialism, although I highly doubt that Bernie will win a general election. But he's on the ticket. I mean, the left really wants him. SJWs love him. White millennials love him. You know, he typifies everything that they hate about the current Democratic establishment. And so they're coalescing around him for that. But you have to go out there and vote. I'm sorry. Like, if you want to turn things around, which they can be, we don't have to fall yet. Europe has pretty much fallen in my eyes. I don't see them coming back. They have had every opportunity to come back with National Front and UKIP and Golden Dawn. They had opportunities to withdraw from the EU. They have opportunities to expel the Muslim. They had all these opportunities, and yet they just don't do it. And it doesn't matter how hard it gets, how bad it gets over there. If women are raped in the streets of Germany, and yet they won't expel them. You know, I don't know what else can be done for Europe. I think they're gone. But in the United States, we're not dead yet. We are not out of the Western game yet. And don't let it. Don't let it. Fight for what you have. Okay? Fight for your people. Show the left that you're still here, that you still matter, that the country is not allowed to forget you. The country is not allowed to forget that we were founded on Judeo-Christian principles, that we are Christian, that this was a 90% white country until the 1960s. I'm not a white nationalist. I am not a white nationalist, but I do care about my white heritage and identity, and I know that many of you on the alt-right do. So show them, tell them that it is not Black lives that matter, that you are here also, and that you have a culture, you have a history as well, and you are not going to let that be smeared by the left. We have to engage them. I implore you to engage them. And the best way to engage them is not by making YouTube videos or discussing on YouTube or visiting blog sites, but when it comes to actually obtaining power, seize it. Do something. Tell your friends to come out with you. Tell them how to vote. Tell them what they're up against, when the unenlightened masses that don't realize what's at stake here. So please do it. Please do it, because we just see this every time. And aren't you tired of losing? I know I am. That's why I'm part of the alt-right. I'm tired of losing on social issues, on foreign policy. I'm tired of being. Part of the reason I'm ashamed of being an American at this point is because of Obama and his actions and his blatant disregard for our history and our way of life. He hates us. He hates us. And I'm supposed to sit back and let the left abolish us. That's what they want to do. So for the love of God, please vote. Okay. Now, it's a trick, really, though, because, as I said, on the right, we are principled voters. We care. There are things that we notice and care about. That's why we vote. That's why we are very selective of our candidates. They have to agree with us. They have to have some critical. We are also issue voters as part of that principle. I know people that if you tell them that you're pro-choice, well, frankly, you can have an amazing foreign policy, amazing economic plan, but I don't know if I trust you because you think it's fine to kill children, kill the future generation at the very least. And so, and that's enough. That one issue, that one social issue, is gone. Now, I appreciate the passion, obviously, and I can respect the principle. As I said, that is the moral thing to do. But the left also doesn't do that. The left has no principle. They play the game for power. They're playing the game of thrones, as it were. And we have to play it also. What happens to Ned Stark? Spoiler, he dies. Why does he die? Because he didn't play the game. He thought he was going to be the principled man in a corrupt, nasty situation, and there's nothing you can do. And we are in a similar position on the alt-right. We face extinction. We face going out. We face becoming a minority in our own countries. And we are, by not voting for the conservative, even if you think he's not far, if he's not extreme enough, you're giving it to them. You actually are giving the vote to the left. And it's not the same. If the left does not show up for the vote, they are not handing it to the right, because we are all center-left people. The West is now a center-left civilization. But for the right, if you don't vote, you are handing it over to them. And I actively tell people this on the left, people that I go to school with, people that I pass by that are, in general conversation, if I get the feeling that they are left of center, which is, again, basically everybody, at least in the United States, if you are not explicitly right, you are left, as my general view. But so many people on the left, thankfully, so many of the plebs think that their vote doesn't matter. Oh, it's the Electoral College. Oh, the government just puts in power who they want. It's all a shell game anyway. That's just, I'm not going to take the time to dispel that rumor, that notion. It's a joke. The Electoral College has its purpose. I don't care if you disagree with it. It's there. It's not going away. And it is there for a degree of separation between the common pleb and the leader of state, the head of state, right? Because we don't really, especially, we should be able to appreciate this on the alt-right. The common pleb should really not be allowed to tell the government directly who is in charge. Because at some point the pleb does need to, they will pleb and they need to be looked after. Again, most of those people are all on the left. And so when I am met with these comments on the left from leftist people that, oh, I'm not going to vote, I congratulate them. I say, absolutely, you're absolutely right. You shouldn't vote. Hey, it's all a game, right? I get it. Yeah, Electoral College, it's all corrupt. That's fine. And I massage that in them, because I know that if they don't show up, conservatives win. Well, they have a chance. We have a chance at winning if the vote does not come out for the left. And that's why, as things go up, you're going to see the left attacking very hard. They are going to lash out. They are going to play the minority and the feminist card all day long. They do it every time, but I think you're going to see it to a degree we've never seen before now with this upcoming election. So be ready for the garbage that you're going to see on TV and on websites. That's all going to be radical. Like they are going to convince women, leftist women, that they're going to say that the right is essentially coming for your ovaries, right? That's what they're going to be saying here. We are gonna take those babies. We're going to shove them right back up your uterus. Because we're all pro-life and we're all stupid and we're all misogynists and we're all racists and bigots, and they are going to lash like you haven't seen. So be ready for that, but stand in opposition to them. Now on the right, we also see some. We have a tendency to LARP pretty hard, especially when you see people that say, "Well, just let it burn," right? let the country go down. Better that we smash ourselves upon the rocks than continue to, stay inside the sinking ship, basically. And again, I understand that. I can empathize with the outrage. That's why I'm part of the alt-right. I am upset and angry, and I see us as dying. I see our entire civilization as decaying right before our eyes, and there's little to nothing that we can do. But as long as there is little to do, I think we have to take that chance. Because do you really want the country to fall apart? I mean, aside from LARPing, and saying how glorious a revolution would be, how glorious secession would be, even though I don't think that's ever going to happen, do you really want civil war? Do you really want civil strife? Do you want to take a gun and go kill your neighbor? Are you at that stage that you are ready for violence? Because I don't think you are. I don't think anyone really is until it happens. I know I am not. I am not ready to kill yet. And I don't want to be. I would implore people not to. I think it's immoral to sit by and say, let your people burn. Let your civilization, let your history burn so that something better can come in the ashes. Why? What we have is great. Why don't we be great again? So I don't know what else there is to say that I can say to convince you to at least try to get out to vote. I'm not saying caucus is caucusing is dull. It's boring, and it's ultimately kind of meaningless because but for the general election, which is always the thing that people care about, people don't care about caucusing so much. Make sure you vote. Convince the left not to vote. Play the game. Embrace your culture, your heritage, your people, and look after each other. That's what the alt-right should be trying to do between us as people. So LARPing has its place. And again, I understand the desire to let it burn because we're already burning. The worst that it can be is that essentially it devolves even further into actual violence. And I don't want to see that. I don't want to see U.S. troops have to be forced into the position where they have to fight for the nation or fight against their own people. Where do you stand in that? I'm not going to shoot at a minority because they're a minority. I'm not going to shoot a gay guy because he's gay. I don't like the right to, I'm not going to call it a marriage, but I'm not going to kill him over it. I understand that for many people, this is really scary talk too. People that are not aware of alt-right rhetoric, this is really scary stuff we're talking about here. You're talking about civil violence. You're talking about killing people based on ideology, about fighting people based on political differences. It doesn't have to be there yet if you go and vote. If you pitch in, if you do your job the way everyone else is supposed to. If society is a well-ordered machine, we have a chance. And we like hierarchy, so do it. So be the cog to advance your cause. So I guess I'll leave you with those thoughts. Just think about it. If you're not going to be voting, if you are an issue voter who is not convinced, who is not going to be convinced by whatever candidate we have on the ballot, I implore you to think about what's at stake. So that's all I got. Take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.